Hey everyone, this is Lola, and welcome again. We're going to continue with personal safety and injury prevention, and we're going to go on to part 5, which is healthy versus unhealthy relationships. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that you've seen parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please subscribe to my channel, and you will be able to see it right there. As promised, here is healthy versus unhealthy relationships. Remember, relationships don't always mean intimate relationships. We can refer to relationships as being friendships or the relationship between siblings, our parents, our elders, and so on. Regardless of the relationship, it's important that we understand what makes a relationship healthy, a healthy one, and what makes it an unhealthy relationship. What kinds of characteristics would you see in the following? So we can list a few things on the healthy side and unhealthy side. You can pause it right here and take a minute to discuss this with everyone. So we can see here on this chart healthy relationships, kind of characteristics that you would see in a healthy one, and then characteristics that you would see in an unhealthy one. So on the healthy side, we see compromise. People can have their own friends. You have support. There's consistency. People can have their own interests. There's compliments, respect, friendship, privacy, choices and options, love, honesty. Both people are equal, and there's compromise. Whereas on the unhealthy side, we see things like this: feeling anxious around the other person, lies, control, manipulation, cheating, feeling scared, criticism, no choices, over jealousy, wanting to know where you are all the time, abuse, mistrust, and feeling trapped. Going on to dating violence. So some teens can find themselves in violent dating relationships. We often see this with emotional violence, or it could be physical violence, or even sexual violence. Looking at emotional violence, it's when one partner threatens the other or harms his or her sense of self-worth or self-esteem. It would include things like calling names, control, jealousy, monitoring the other person constantly, shaming or bullying them. It also happens when friends and family are kept away from the person. So there's a real sense of control there. Going on to physical violence, it's when somebody pinches, hits, shoves, slaps, punches, or kicks their partner. Sexual violence is when someone forces a partner to have sex or engage in sexual activities when he or she doesn't and cannot even consent. Force can be physical or non-physical. For example, non-physical is when someone threatens to spread rumors if a partner refuses to have sex, for example. Stalking in any form of repeated or unwanted contact that makes a person feel unsafe. Sexual coercion in dating violence. Sexual coercion is unwanted sexual activity that happens when you are pressured, tricked, threatened, or forced in a non-physical way. So coercion can make you think you owe sex to someone. It might be from someone who has power over you, like a teacher, a landlord, or a boss. No person is ever required to have sex with someone else. Be clear and direct with the person trying to coerce you. Tell the person how you feel and what you do not want to do. If the person is not listening to you, then you need to leave the situation. If you or your family is in physical danger, try to get away from the person as quickly as possible. You can call 911 if you are in immediate danger. So let's have a little discussion here. Why does abuse or violence happen? So using information which you have learned, why does abuse or violence happen? Time to pause this and discuss it a little. Recognizing abuse or violence. So here's another chance to discuss all this. Identify some of the ways that an individual can recognize abusive and violent behaviors. And what are some of the ways that you can identify whether a friend or family member is being abused or is a victim of violence? How can we prevent and how do we respond to these types of violence? So what can you do? You can stop being a bystander and step up, if it's safe for you, of course. When you see it, you need to stop it if you feel safe, once again. You need to report it. You need to film it. Support the victim and others who step up. And say something to those in power to make a change. So what's the impact of violence and abuse? When we look at the impacts, we want to look at the victims, we want to look at the perpetrator, and we also want to look at the bystander. And we want to look at these 4 areas: emotionally, physically, socially, and mentally. Great place for a discussion right here to put this on pause. Moving on to conflict resolution. So what is conflict resolution? It's more than just a disagreement. It's a situation when one person or both people feel threatened, which may or may not be real. Conflict resolution is a way to resolve the conflict between people in a way where nobody gets hurt. And there are 4 steps to conflict resolution that we're going to take a look at. There are 4 things that you need to do to resolve a conflict. 1 is to understand. 2, avoid making things worse. 3, work together. And 4, find a solution. So number 1 is understand. So the biggest communication problem is that we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. So in trying to understand somebody, we need to let them speak and we need to really listen to them. The second thing is to avoid making things worse. So explosive, angry, hurtful, and resentful reactions are not healthy ways to deal with conflict. Instead, we need to be calm, non-defensive, and respectful to the other person, and things will probably go better. Work together. Make I statements, things like, I feel sad when, I am upset that, I feel frustrated and annoyed when. And finally, find a solution. So make conflict resolution the priority rather than winning or being right. Focus on the present, be willing to forgive, and know when to let something go. If you can't come to an agreement, agree to disagree. It's really important to remember to manage your emotions. Can you remain comfortable enough with your emotions to react in a constructive way, even in the midst of a perceived attack? Other ways to manage your emotions. You can talk about your feelings. You can count backwards from 10 to calm down. Breathe deeply. Again, calm down and just collect your thoughts as well. And ask for help if the problem cannot be solved. We can feel really mad at someone else, but remember that you are responsible for your feelings. Ask yourself why you are so mad and then figure out the reason why you're feeling this way. So let's review here. What are the 4 things that you need to do to resolve a conflict? Remember, those who show some kind of violent behaviors may not know how to manage their emotions. So what are some of the things they can do so that they're able to make changes on how they act? And finally, support services. Identify people and community agencies. So, when we have problems or issues, we can always go speak to our parents or guardians, teachers, neighbors, kids help phone, local services, and school guidance department. Remember that there are many support services for victims, bystanders, and perpetrators. Kids Help Phone is a great place to start for many of you. Whenever you need to talk, they're open. It's like 24/7, 365 days a year. Their phone number is 1-800-668-6868, but you could also chat with them and text with them as well. So what happens when you call them? You'll hear a message that goes, "Hi, welcome to Kids Help Phone." And then you'll be asked to choose either English or French. Then comes a message about prank calls. Some young people are just curious about what will happen if they call. Just try to remember that counselors are there to help, but they need to keep the lines free for youth who need them. And once you go through, a counselor will ask you how they can help you. Don't sweat it, and if you don't know what to say, the counselor will ask you a couple of questions to get the conversation going. Their live chat lets you connect one-on-one in real time with a Kids Help Phone counselor on the web or from their Always There app. Talk about anything. It's anonymous and confidential. And you could also text, so you just have to text connect to 686868. All your conversations are really kept confidential. The Canadian Red Cross is another place that you can contact. You can go online and try to connect with them. Cybertip.ca is a tip line to report the online sexual exploitation of children. So there are other support services that help support victims of violence and abuse. Examples of these are the Canadian Mental Health Association and Neighbors, Friends and Families. So a little discussion here, the importance of support services. Why is it important to provide support services to victims of abuse or violence? Are support services needed for the abuser? Are support services needed for the bystanders, those seeing what is going on? Some more discussion here. So discuss reasons why people would seek help and why they may not. What kinds of things would encourage them to seek help? And what would discourage them to seek help? Remember to be kind. Kind is cool. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching all these videos. I hope that they were helpful. And please remember to subscribe again and like this if you enjoyed it. Thank you.